Hello, in this video we're going to learn how to convert units of length and how to calculate the perimeter of two-dimensional shapes. Before we start, please copy this guide into your workbook. This is a quick guide for converting units of length because we have 10 millimeters in a centimeter, 100 centimeters in a meter, and 1000 meters in a kilometer. We can use this guide to convert between the different units. All we need to do to move from one to the other is follow the arrows along and perform the operation listed next to it. Okay, so make sure that that's written into your book. Let's start with a couple of examples using this guide. Okay, so you might want to get out your calculator at this point. So for the first one here, we've got 1.027 meters. So type that into your calculator. We want to change meters into centimeters. So we follow along here. We're at meters. We want to go to centimeters. So we have to do times 100. Times 100. 102.7 centimeters. Okay, part B, we've got 0.0034 kilometers. So we want to go from kilometers to meters. So kilometers to meters is times 1000. 3.4 meters. Part C, we've got 76,500 meters into kilometers. So we're starting here, we're going the other way this time. Meters into kilometers, we need to divide by 1000. Divided by 1000 is 76.5 kilometers. And the last one, part D, 3.069 meters into millimeters. So we're going two steps here. We're going meters into millimeters. All right, so two steps. So we're going to have to just do both of these operations. We can do them together. So times 100 and then times 10 to get from meters to centimeters, centimeters to millimeters. We end up with 3069 millimeters. Okay, you might have noticed on that last step, we can actually combine these two steps in one, because 10 times 100 is just 1000. So if I put 3.069 times 1000, you see that I get the same answer. All right, so you can combine the steps just by combining these parts there together. Okay, so you can pause the video here and write this definition into your book also. So perimeter is the distance or length around the outside of a two-dimensional shape. So here's an example. This is a rectangle. One strategy is just to start from a particular corner and go all the way around the outside, adding them up. So 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 4 until you get back to the start. All right, so adding that all up, we get 18 meters. So make sure with any measurement problem that you always include the units. So if we're in meters here, then our final answer has to be given in meters. Here's another example. On this shape, that looks like it's kind of made up of two rectangles, we're missing some of the sides. So the first thing to notice is that these two sides here both have these green double dashes on them, and that means that they are identical in length. So if we know that this one is 5 centimeters, then the one along the bottom also is 5 centimeters, so we can write that in straight away. The next part, we need to find out what these two sides are. Okay, the way that we do that is we have a look at which sides are parallel to the ones that we're missing. So I like to do it by kind of drawing some arrows. So we can see here that these two sides are parallel with this 6 centimeter length on the other side. So if we add those two together, it must add up to 6 centimeters. So 5 plus something adds up to 6. Well, this something has got to be 1. And we can do the same approach for the last missing side there. We'll draw some arrows in. So we've got a 5 centimeter length along the bottom, and these two are parallel. All right, if we add them together, they must add up to 5. So 3 plus something equals 5. This missing one is 2. Okay, so once we know all of the sides, we can just go around and add them all up. 3 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5 plus 6 till we get back to the start. We end up with 22 centimeters. Okay, let's have a go at a few more. These are some slightly different and weirder shapes. So this first one here is a kite. So the dashes just tell us which sides are the same. So this one here is 15, is the same as this. Okay, so we can just do 2 times 15 because we've got two of the same side, plus 2 times 21. Because the double dashes here tell us that they are both 21. So there's 2 of them that are the same. Okay, so we should have 72 millimeters for the first one. Okay, for part B, we've got a trapezium. Now this one looks simple enough, but there is a bit of a trick in it. The bottom length down here is 7.3 centimeters. We need all of those units to be the same. So since all of the others are in millimeters, it makes sense for us to change this one into millimeters. So you can refer back to the guide that we started with. We need to do times 10 to get to millimeters. So 7.3 centimeters is the same as 73 millimeters. So let's start from that point and then we'll add the rest up going clockwise. So 45 plus 17 plus 28 is 163 millimeters. Okay, and the last one here, we are missing some of the sides. Okay, so we are missing this side here, and pick a different color, and this side here. Oh, that was a bit wonky. Okay, so those sides there. So just as we did in the previous example, we need to have a look at the side or sides that are opposite and parallel. Okay, so this one here is 45 centimeters. All right, and these three lengths should add up to 45. So if we actually start by putting in the 45 centimeters that we have here and subtract the other sides that we know, so we've got this one here is 15, take that away. This one here is 15, take that away. We're left with 15 on the end here as well. Okay, so let's write that part in. We've got a 15 there. Now, last one we're looking for is this one. So this is the parallel opposite side. And we've also got these other two here. So again, we'll start with the long side that we know, 40. Subtract the bits we do have. We know that's 18, so take that away. And this one is 11, take that away. We should be left with just this little one here. Okay, so we know that that one there is 11 millimeters. Okay, so once we've figured out what all the sides are, we can just add them all up. So I'm going to start from the top. 18 plus 45 plus 40 plus 15 plus 11 plus 15 plus 11 plus 15. 170 millimeters. Okay. All right, so you might also want to pause the video here and copy this into your notebook. This is a shortcut for finding the perimeter of a rectangle because rectangles have opposite sides that are equal. We've got two of the same length and we've also got two of the same width. All right, so as a shortcut, we can just add the length and the width together and then times it by 2 to find the perimeter. So copy that shortcut into your book with the picture. We've also got a bit of a shortcut for a square. Square's even easier because we've got 4 lengths that are identical. We can just take one of the lengths and times it by 4. So write that into your notebook as well. Okay, so we'll just finish with a couple more worked examples. All right, let's hide our answers for a second. Okay, so we've got the perimeter of a rectangular block of land that is 20.5 meters long and 9.8 meters wide. It's always a good idea to draw a picture if you can. It really helps you to understand the problem. If you just don't know where to start, drawing a picture is always a good place to start. So label the parts that we do know. So there's our length and width. Well, for this one, we can just use that shortcut and fill in the blanks there. So length and width. So we add those two parts together. We just put this in the calculator. So we've got 20.5 plus 9.8. And then we just times it by 2. 60.6 meters. Okay, make sure you include the units. Okay, last one. We've got a rectangular billboard. Has a perimeter of 16 meters. Calculate its width if the length is 4.5 meters. So we know it's a rectangle. It's 4.5 meters long. And we know what the perimeter is. So the part that we're missing is actually the width, this part along here, right? But we know that altogether the perimeter is 16 meters. I'm giving away the answers again. Okay, so one way that we can solve this would just be to use guess and check. So we can fill in the parts that we know into our formula. We know the length is 4.5, we know the perimeter is 16, and we can guess what number goes here until we get it right. There's nothing wrong with that strategy, but it's probably not the most efficient way to do it. The way that I prefer to do it is to solve the equation using inverse operations. So that inverse means opposite. So we're trying to figure out this missing number here. The last step when we use our formula is to times 2. So to undo that, we have to divide by 2 on both sides of our equation, because division is the opposite of multiplication. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that just cancels out. We have 1 times this, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So we simplify the equation to that point, all right, which this tells us 4.5 plus something equals 8. So if we just subtract 4.5 from both sides of the equation, we'll end up with W equals 3.5. Okay, so that is the width. And that's the end. Thanks very much for listening.